All right, everybody. Thank you so much for coming back for another episode of the Dab Podcast. Today we're doing a very special interview. We got our man Ryan here. Ryan, tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name's Ryan. I was born and raised in San Jose. Still live here. My whole family lives here, and I am a captain with San Jose Fire Department for 17 years.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
So, Roy. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, that's what a real hero looks like, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, not all that, but yeah.
By the way, Andy, like my fat ass is like blocking him. There you go.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
So, how'd you start?
Thanks for having me, you guys, and welcome to Station 21.
Thank you.
Station 21 in San Jose, yeah?
Yeah.
So, how long have you been here?
Well, this is not my station. I actually met Dushan at my station, which is Engine 10 on the west side.
Okay.
So, yeah. So, I've worked at a bunch. So we'll preempt this by saying you can get what's called a bid spot, right? So when you have accrued enough seniority and given the proper rank, right? And it's a little bit different when you're the officer of the station, right?
Yeah.
So there's 3 shifts, A, B, and C. That's how you get 24/7, 365 coverage. So like today is the A shift. That's why I'm off, because I'm a C shifter. So like our engine was broken, and we were outside trying to get it back on, to limp it down to the shop, and he rolled up and was like, hey, like I'm a podcaster, can we interview? And I was like, yeah, let's set it up. So we went in the office, and that's how we just started rapping, and that was cool. So like I could tell it was going to be fun, and we were going to have a good time. So
it was actually a lot tougher than that, guys. I'm a great salesman. I had to talk him into. No, I'm just kidding. No, he was super cool.
Yeah, no, it was great. Yeah, so I was like, I'm your Huckleberry. But yeah, no, like, so I'm tight with 2 shifts here. But like I said, I spent about 4 years like training the kids in the Explorer program. We would do interviews and then like off drill ground training here.
Yeah.
Like as far as spots I worked on Engine 4, which is by San Jose City College. I was there for a few years. I was at Engine 8 downtown for years. That's a pretty busy station, pretty rough neighborhood. I had worked at 5 for 2 or 3 years. That's a pretty rough neighborhood. Probably got half the city's homeless there.
Yeah.
That's all industrial. So I've never had a permanent spot here. I've definitely worked here.
Yeah.
But my current spot is Engine 10, which is by Santana Row. So he lives over there. So that's how we ran into each other.
Yeah, well, when he told me we're coming down to White Road, I was like,
yeah.
Wait a minute, didn't you walk to this fire station? I was like, you didn't walk to White Road.
No, I walked first because I don't know if I told you, I live right there.
Oh, yeah.
But then the other time, because I didn't see anyone there, and then on New Year's when I was driving by, I was like, oh, they're all here.
Yeah.
Let me go talk to them.
So he was actually parked, and like parking in front of the station, like if we can't get out, it's an issue, but it didn't matter because he wasn't really in front, and the engine was out of service. So he's like, can I park here while I talk to you? And I was like, yeah, it's fine.
This ain't going nowhere.
We couldn't do anything if we wanted to, and that's kind of the difference between us and like, let's say, like law enforcement.
Yeah,
they could still do stuff for the community if they don't have a car. If our rig is out of service, we're kind of dead in the water.
Yeah, you can't just go throw water bottles on it.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, that's a big part of what we do.
So what made you want to be a firefighter? It's kind of scary thinking that you're going. I understand you don't just deal with fire, but how do you like decide I want to go into a house that's on fire?
Yeah, right. Like you're going in when people are getting out.
Yeah.
So like it's interesting. I never had like a lot of people will say, I was always my dream as a little kid and all that kind of stuff. Or some people have like a personal connection, which I do have, but it happened later in life. So which I'll share with you guys. Yeah. But when I was in high school, I was kind of a dick, and all I cared about was making money. I was like, I'm gonna go to college. I'm gonna get in business, and I want to make money, and have a nice car and wear suits, and that was kind of like the path I was putting myself on. Like I wanted it now,
Yeah.
And I grew up like 2 streets away from a fire station, so I always respected those guys and looked up to them. I was like, okay, they're cool, but like I'm not big. So like to me, like, I didn't play football because I'm not all that stuff. So like to me, firemen were like tall guys with beards. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just was like, that's never going to happen for me, because that was just like a preconceived notion that I had. I ended up So I guess what I'm saying is I didn't have like an inward, like an intrinsic, like motivation to go like, I want to be a public servant or anything like that. Yeah. Even though I grew up next to a fire, I remember going to that station, like on field trips for my like elementary school or whatever, and they'd make us sandwiches and be like, look, you know, here, hold this or whatever. And we were like, yay, you know, but like I never, you know, I remember them being, there was like a parade and we were like, yeah, you know, like there's our fire engine, but I wasn't like, I don't work there, you know?
Yeah.
And then I ended up going to college, doing a couple internships. I worked for Intel in Santa Clara for like almost 2 years. Mm-hmm. And then I just didn't like it. I didn't like it. And it wasn't fulfilling. And it was like profoundly disappointing, I'll just say. Now that's not a knock to the corporate world or that company. It just wasn't for me.
Yeah.
And my best friend, who is a captain at Foster City, he was a professional chef right out of school. He started cooking.
Nice.
He was like a line cook, a sous chef. He did everything. He had a catering company. So he was in the cooking game, and it's burning him out. And so he was living in Hollister, and he was volunteering. And he's like, I want to do this full time. So he was doing it, and he's like, dude, you should get on this. Like the Holy Spirit. He's like, you should get some of this, you know? Yeah, so I was like, okay, you know? So my parents were cool. They're like, do what you do, you know? I quit my job. I got my college job back. I got in a fire academy. I went to EMT school, and then I got a job with the CDF immediately. Like before I even graduated. So I just went headlong into it because he was a step ahead of me, and he had all the success. So he was feeding me all of his like trial and errors.
Yeah.
And that helped me a lot.
Mm-hmm. He was basically your tutor.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, he definitely gave me like a roadmap, and he was like, you know, but he was able to volunteer, and he had a lot of support. San Jose doesn't have volunteers, you know, so I mean, this is, you know, it's a big city, so it's like,
and especially with the fire department.
Yeah.
You guys respond first for everything.
Well, it was super competitive. The landscape was different back then. The barriers to entry were a lot higher. There was a lot more people going for it. So, and I would say it was, at that point, it was like a zenith of, like, you had to be a medic. Mm-hmm. You had, and if you guys want to know, like, what it takes to get the job door to door, like, I could lay it out pretty quick. I don't know if you
I definitely want to talk about that, actually. Like, I've had a couple people who were like, oh, like, how do you get into that? And I was like, well, I'll ask.
Yeah. So if you want to be, because, like, most of North America is, like, a lot of it is, and I'm saying rural, small, is volunteer. So it's like dudes that are like, you know, I think we talked about this. It's like when we were in my office or whatever, like it's a guy that's, you know, this dude's at Petco. This dude's selling insurance. And this guy is like, whatever. He's a contractor. They get a beep on their pager. They all go to like some metal outbuilding and they roll up the door and they jump in the fire engine and they put their crap on and they go. And they're volunteers, right? So most of North America is like covered by volunteers. And maybe they get a little bit of money when they go on a call. If you want to be fully paid and do it for a living, it's like probably over a year, maybe a year and a half door to door.
So question, the volunteers that are in there with you guys, helping you guys out, do you guys ever witness people freezing up in the moment?
Yeah, for sure.
And then does that happen often?
You have fully trained guys that are brand new. I've seen dudes with a lot of time, what we call bitch up.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
After that happens, do you guys go back and you just haze them and bag on them? Or do you hey, don't worry, you go get the next one?
It depends on the situation.
Yeah, and how severe it is.
For the most part, you will have like a senior guy, usually like an officer, like a captain, maybe an engineer, or a very senior firefighter, and they'll get them. And like, you never want to push people
too much.
And I mean, literally, like I've literally had people like a boot in my back, or people like pushing in your bottle, and it's like,
oh yeah, get in the flames, boom.
That's the thing. It's like if you're up front, you're like a shield, and you're taking an ass beating. You're getting all the heat. They're not feeling that. They're like, go, 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 but they're not feeling what you're feeling.
Yeah.
So that's where you're like, when you communicate, and in a fire, it's very hard to hear. So you're like you might go cheek to cheek, and you're screaming in each other's faces, like blah blah blah. So now we actually have voice modulators that help with that.
Okay. Like how they do in football helmets.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so it's like a big screechy, like Darth Vader type apparatus out here. We could go look at them later, but once upon a time, you'd have to grab the guy's mask, and you're like, it's over there, or whatever. I'm taking a lot of heat, and they're like, well, we want to back up, or we're going to open this hose, or what are we doing? You know?
Yeah, yeah.
But I've seen people, like I remember there was a guy who had experience and I didn't when I was at 4, and there was like it was like an outbuilding, like a shed, a quarter of the size of this, like a tough shed, and it was going. I mean, you had good smoke production. There was fire inside there, and I was the backup guy, and he was on the nozzle, and so he's older than me, and he's got some experience, from somewhere else. I don't know, and I was like looking at my captain. He's like, "Go," like. I'm like, I won't say his name, but I was like, hey, man, we got to... And he's like, it's dark as fuck in there. He's just like, it's smoky as fuck. And like the captain just came and just obliterated the door. He was a pretty big guy, and he just grabbed him. He picked him up and just kind of pushed him and then started working the bail, and then he snapped into it. But that was I was like, and I remember I went in there and then just kicked the whole wall down, like, because I was like, yo, dude, this isn't that big of a deal. But that dude, for whatever reason, didn't want the smoke. You know what I mean? Like,
so for the purpose of this story, let's call him Paulie.
Okay, Paulie.
Right?
Yeah.
So in that situation, like, you guys who were lined up behind him, do you get mad at him when he gets scared? Like, is it...
No. So we just kind of have to, like, reassure him in a very hands-on kind of way. But also, this was a situation where we could go in there and it would be near impossible to get hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, it was so... You couldn't get trapped. So there was very low risk, like, to no risk of, like, entanglement, disorientation. The visibility wasn't that bad. We were fully covered up, had all of our protective gear on. We were on air. We had a charged hose line, and this was nothing. You know what I mean? But for whatever reason,
he just froze.
Yeah.
So, what does that feel like? Because I'm sure, especially when you started out, there was plenty of times when you were the first guy,
I'll be
right?
the first person.
Technically, he's kind of like risking your life at the same time because you're a team that needs to move together, right?
I will be the first person to admit I have been in fires where all of a sudden I didn't know where I was. And that is a shitty feeling. That is a very sickening feeling when you have no visibility, right? You know you have limited air. You're taking heat. Maybe you have a hose line. Maybe you lost the hose line, but you have a stair like railing or something or a wall, and you're calling out and you can't hear anybody, So that is when you fall back on your training. You know what I mean? You take a minute.
Just listening to that gave me anxiety, man. That gave me anxiety. My hands are getting sweaty, dude.
I'm like playing a
just smoke everywhere, can't see nothing, flames.
The whole time you're telling me that, I'm like, how do you sign up for this?
So this is what we call sets and reps, right? Just like working out, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Sets and reps. Like you train a lot and you train like you're gonna play. Okay? Yeah. And a lot of it is like, let's take a step back, let's take a deep breath, let's collect ourselves, and you gotta go back to your training and just take a few breaths and collect yourself and just be like, does that make you reassess? You back up and just kind of reassess what's going on. And then you start thinking about your options. I have a light. I have a radio. I can find the hose line. I know how to feel it. And I can orient myself and get out. I have a tool so I can breach a wall. I can take a window. There, you have options. But in that moment when you're like, oh shit, I'm lost, that sucks. God. And I'm not gonna lie.
And how many times have you been in that situation?
A handful.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but I've also it also is horrible to hear when they have like what's called a mayday, right? A mayday is a firefighter down.
Oh.
Okay.
And
so there's emergency traffic. That's for civilians.
Do you wear those things that make noise?
It's called a pass alarm. Okay. So it's a personal alert safety system. It's like it's an acronym, and it basically it's automated and run off of your air system.
Yeah.
But it also has like a proximity alert. So if you go motionless, it'll go off.
Okay.
Right? So it gives some warnings and then it just emits like a sound that no one can ignore. I mean, like later.
It's like a haunting noise.
Yeah, I could turn one on and you guys can hear it. It's like there was actually a captain. There was a really bad fire on Santa Clara. It was like 5 alarms. It was horrible. I was there. And
5 alarm is the highest.
So an alarm
level, right?
5 of those alarms you're talking about? Where people
no.
Like
so
a stage of fire.
So an alarm is like when you get an alarm for like, let's say a structure response. An alarm here is an engine, a truck, right? And then you can round it out. Like there's different ways of rounding it out. You can have what's called a full first alarm, where it's 2 engines and a truck is an alarm response. Then a truck is the one that has the big mechanical ladder. So trucking is different than engine firefighting. An engine is just a big pump with a big water tank and a ton of hose. And their job is to put water on the fire. A truck, they do search and rescue, they do forcible entry, they have saws and airbags, and they do rescue, rope stuff. It's basically a giant rolling toolbox with a bunch of ladders.
Yeah.
So truckers, they cut holes in the ceiling, they force doors, and they go search for people. That's like their specialty. Okay. So there's less trucks than engines because you kind of generally need like more experience to bid a truck and be on a trucking company. They're not first up for medicals because their priority is to be available for heavy rescue, technical rescue, forcible entry, search and rescue, stuff like that.
Yeah.
They have airbags that can lift up VTA trains. You know what I mean? They have saws that can cut through girders.
The position you're at, you've experienced all those positions.
I've worked on trucks, but I've never had a bid spot on a truck because I love truckers, but I'm not a trucker. Like my best friend in this department is a hardcore trucker, and he's really good at it. Right?
Okay.
I would totally captain a truck, but maybe near the end of my career when I have a little bit more, I'd like to get more time on a truck.
Yeah.
But I've spent my whole career on engines, and I'm not going to say comfortable, but I have some confidence running an engine company. Because I know where I fit on the dance card and my priorities, and I can work well, punting the truck shit to truckers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, but you're a tandem attack. Like you work in concert. They kind of can't do what they need to do without you safely or efficiently, and it's vice versa.
Yeah.
So while we're trying to get in and find the fire and put water on it, their big thing is if there's no one to rescue, they're going to try and get the smoke out of the building so that, because like when a building is smoked out, you can't see shit. It's hot as fuck, and you're just like it's disorienting, right? And it's not safe.
Yeah.
So by them getting smoke out, and the best way to do it is cut a hole in the ceiling, right? Once they do that, dude, it's like you go from smoke down to here to up there. It's a million degrees cooler, and anybody who could live is gonna live.
It's like a chimney, right?
Yeah. It's called vertical ventilation.
Okay.
You can do horizontal ventilation. The problem is you can feed that fire like a jet engine if you do it wrong.
Yeah.
It becomes like what do they call them? Like
a bellows or something.
Yeah. Exactly.
I learned a little bit about that
what's crazy?
Because after high school, I actually went to mission college to go to fire science.
Oh yeah.
And I was in the.
It's a good program.
I was in the process of doing all that, but then I realized school's not for me, and I dropped out, and I never went through with it, and just went to the city and started working.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I actually wanted to be a firefighter.
You know what's crazy? We've only been talking for a couple minutes. Right now, that short, brief part of the conversation, I totally understand why we all look up to you guys. Like, and not to put anything on cops or anyone else, right? But there's a reason society looks up to firefighters the most.
Yeah.
Right? Like when we're kids, we all want to go in the fire truck. We want to meet the firefighters, right?
Astronauts are up there too, right?
Yeah, but that's more like a cool factor.
Yeah.
Like adults geek out over firefighters.
Yeah.
Right? Like right now, you gave me chills, like, and it's exactly that because you guys are always in the shit, right? And you guys are the ones.
Not always, but yeah.
Well, a lot. Like if something bad is happening, right? Whether it's 9/11, whether it's whatever it is, it's the firefighters who were there first.
So what you're saying, I will support you. What it is like you're like the county problem solver. You're paid to make people's bad day good. So people call 911, and it could be a spill, it could be an odor investigation, it could be a fire in the creek, it could be a car wreck, right? Because the medical component. And it wasn't always like this. It used to be like maybe they did first aid, but like in the 70s and 80s, the ALS component of becoming paramedics became a big deal. And then they saw the writing on the wall as people were getting sprinklers and smoke detectors and all this other shit in newer construction. They were like, all right, we need to offer more services to build some, survivability into the future of our career, right? So it's like, and there'll always be a need for us, right? I would say, like in America, because the fire service is vastly different all over the world, right? But here, I mean, like the West Coast is quite a bit different than the East Coast. Like on the East Coast, all they do is go to fires. They rarely go to medicals, and they have a bajillion ambulances they throw at stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We put medics on everything here. It's kind of a less efficient system.
Mm.
But when you have a medic at every fire station, if your dad is having chest pain at Thanksgiving, that fucking rig is going to come in less than 2 minutes, and they can be giving him nitro and aspirin and hooking him up, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then he gets to have 20 more Christmases with you.
Yeah.
So that's the idea of having a medic, ALS forward, department, I guess.
You know, it's funny actually. So not that I've ever forgotten it, but you just reminded me. I don't know if you were with Station 10 at that time, but this was probably about 10 years ago. I had gotten home after a week and I was sick and I couldn't smell nothing. The pilot light in my apartment had gone out, right? I went to sleep, woke up in the morning. I was about to light a cigarette.
I remember you telling me about
I couldn't smell anything.
Were you nauseous or dizzy? Or?
So my routine is usually wake up, and I used to smoke in my apartment, right? I don't anymore now, but I used to smoke in my apartment. And so I would sit in my chair and like have a cigarette, but I put the cigarette in my mouth, and literally right before I light it, I'm like, whoa, what's happening? And I just my vision gets all weird. I start feeling like I'm going to vomit, right? I stand up, walk to the living room, boom, and I just let loose. And I'm like, I'm having a heart attack. Like, I don't know what's going on. And again, I can't smell anything. Everything's stuffed, right? And so, like, I sit there, and again, I'm about to light my cigarette, and I'm like, nah, I don't feel good. I shouldn't light the cigarette, right? And then I called you guys, your station. You guys showed up, and I was like, I'll leave the front door unlocked. Like, I'm sitting on the couch. Like, come check me out.
Wait, you're staying on the couch, still in the CO2?
In the CO2. I didn't know. I didn't know.
You thought he was sick.
I didn't know what was going on. And the very first firefighter in was like, dude, what is going on?
Because you're nose blind to it.
Yes. And like, he grabbed me and took me right outside. And he's like, dude, you have a gas leak.
Yeah.
Like, so you guys literally saved my life.
How long did it take you to feel better once they brought you to fresh air? I'm just curious.
I started feeling better very quickly. Okay. But I didn't feel normal again for about an hour to 2 hours. Like, I went to the hospital, and I did have some side effects afterwards, like with my heart, a little damage, nothing crazy, and I'm better now. But
that's good.
It's no, I was in that for a long time, and the firefighter was like, "I can't believe you're still breathing right now."
Did you go to the hospital?
Oh yeah.
Did you buy ambulance that night?
No, like I was like, I can't afford an ambulance. Yeah. Okay. I was like, I can't afford an ambulance, so I went to the.
So they signed you out AMA, and then you.
Yes,
okay.
and then
did you go to O'Connor.
I did.
Yeah.
Holy crap! Yeah. But that's because that's a hospital he recommended. And again, I wish I could tell you who it was now, but. He was like, oh, yeah, like, you need to go to a hospital, dude. You've been sitting in that for a long time. Like, you need to call our management, right? And then they came out and they disconnected everything. And
they probably shut off your gas. Or at least they shut off they probably disconnected what I would do. Yeah. I would have pulled your stove out, cut the gas, locked it and tagged it out, and be like, yo, don't use this, and then you got to deal with your landlord. That's probably exactly what happened.
That's exactly what happened, but it was actually our wall heater that went out.
Oh, okay.
And so... It's electric? No, it's gas, but I mean, it's from underneath...
It's like a little thing, you pop it out.
Yes.
The rigid one on the wall. Yeah,
yes.
It's funny, I just disconnected one last night.
Like, if you guys didn't respond as quickly as you did, right? And, like, the doctor was telling me all this stuff. Like, he was like, oh, my God, that was so dangerous, and... and like, as soon as you woke up, your heart rate, that's why it happened so suddenly, because your heart rate goes up, which forces more of that into your brain, into your bloodstream. I was like, I don't know about any of this. And then the landlord was just like, okay, like...
Well, carbon monoxide, they call it, if you don't have an alarm, and a lot of people have them, or they're combos now, but it's odorless. They call it the silent killer.
That was insane to me.
Yeah, I have one in my house. Yeah. So, touching on what he was talking about, in your household, what do you think is the most important things not to use that can cause fires, and what you should have in your house to prepare?
Smoke detectors, carbon monoxide alarm, for sure.
Yeah. Well, how do you feel about like electrical outlet type extension cords and stuff?
It's fine if it's rated and it's not overloaded. Yeah. I mean, like space heaters can be like kind of bad. I mean, honestly, the worst thing is
what causes the most fires.
Well, hold on. He was about to say the worst thing. Let me say that first.
So I would say the worst thing, like it's people doing stuff they're not supposed to. But not, I mean, that there's a wide range there, right? So people will bring like camp stoves and cook inside. That's like something you shouldn't do. Or they're not properly ventilated. Or shit's not up to code. Or like the place is just packed with stuff. Or they have oil all over their like range, you know, like.
Yeah.
So there's, I mean, accidents happen. We call them cooking errors and stuff like that. But like I've seen people where their fuse box, like they've like, jury rigged it with like a piece of like tin, so it won't get, so the thing will stop the breaker will stop flipping, stuff like that. And I don't ever jam people up. I'm like just like, hey, you can't do this anymore. You're gonna get hurt, you know. Like, but I don't like report people or anything. I just educate people and stuff like that. But I mean, like certain things we have to report, right? Like hoarding, you know, negligence on the part of the landlord, on the elder abuse, child abuse, you know, like so like there's things I'll see where I have to like blow it up. I have to escalate. But for the most part, a low level education and just talking to people is you can get a lot done, you know. But space heaters, like sometimes they'll fall over and stuff like that, catch like carpet or drapes. Drapes are bad, the old drapes, you know. Yeah. And what's crazy is like a lot of stuff, bedding, carpet, drapes, a lot has gnarly like fire resistant chemicals, and like now there's all this stuff saying like cancer causing stuff in that, you know. So like for us, the level of exposure that we have, like there's a cancer initiative going on and stuff like that, because like dudes will get like, I like to think we're gonna take it to a dark place, but like I
take it wherever you want.
Let's go.
No. Like I always say, like, because people are like, oh, about, you know, like there's a lot of exposure and a lot of risk. Like, it might be a risk of, like, it could be, like, I mean, like, COVID, you know, like, during the COVID pandemic, we were on the tip of the spear. We were still working. We're going into houses where people's had, you know, all 7 people who live there are COVID positive. You know what I mean? And whether you're vaccinated or whatever you believe in and you have a mask on, we had gear and stuff like that. And we're wearing gowns and N95s and respirators and all this stuff. But, I mean, you're getting medically exposed. Yeah. You're getting cancer materials exposed. You're getting wear and tear on your body and stuff like that. So a lot of dudes, like, if they don't have a heart attack 5 years after they retire from lack of sleep, the stress, and just getting beaten on, you know, or they're back, they can't walk, they're walking funny for the rest of their life. There's a lot of dudes that are getting cancer. So I like to think that if I'm going to get testicular cancer at 55, I would hope that it was because I I pulled a bunch of nuns holding a basket of puppies out of a bus or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, not like, but the reality is,
I scaled the side of it happened to save 17 children,
but it happened for a reason.
Honestly, the reality is, it's because we were at a creek fire and there was like tires down there, and we're not wearing respiratory equipment on a wildfire. You know what I mean? So the burden is on us. Well, I don't want to use the word burden because that's probably not an apt term, but it's like we have to do our due diligence to write everything up and record our exposures, right? Yeah. So that we get protected on the back half, you know. And then it's as much as we try to like stay out of harm's way.
Reality is
yeah. So, but that's what you sign up for. And I mean, like, I'm not trying to get like, I don't know how that's coming off, but like, we were talking about why to do this, right? Like, you want to help people. That's like, you know what I mean? Any guy, like, I would tell new cats trying to get this job, they were like, how do I do it? How do I do it? I'm like, tell me why. And if they couldn't talk to me for a half an hour, why they want to do this job, I'd be like, I don't know, man. I don't know if I can.
So you're looking for that passion in their voice.
I just want them to, yes, absolutely. But I wanted these guys or girls to be like, look, like, you need to know what you're getting involved in, because you're going to miss birthdays and Christmases. You're going to not sleep. You're going to mess up your back. You're going to blow out your knee. You're going to hurt your shoulder. You know what I mean? You're going to get PTSD, all this shit. You might even get cancer. But, like, this is one thing I'll say when I was doing academies and stuff. Like, I'd be like, I'd look at these guys, because a lot of them are younger, guys and girls, younger. And I'd be like, you're young, and you're strong, and you're fast right now. Okay? And you're hungry, and you want to do this. One day, you're going to be older and weaker and a little slower, and you're going to look back at your life. And I want you to be able to say, I was a San Jose City firefighter. That was enough for me. You know what I mean? Because it's enough for me. I legitimately believe that. So it was easy for me to throw myself into this because like I believe in the mission and I love being a part of the community and like helping people because I legitimately, once I started, the more I got into it, the more I wanted. And I was like, because I went from being the person, like you guys were saying, I was like, I clearly remember being, when it was the CDF, now it's CAL FIRE, but we would go to Rex, right? And we'd be like, wow, I can't wait till the helicopter gets here, or the medics get here. And then at one point I had like a moment where I was like, fuck that. I want to be the person that shows up and everyone's like, thank God he's here, not the other way around. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm articulating that correctly. I was
yes,
like,
you want to be the guy. You want to be the guy.
I just didn't, it was a shitty feeling to be kneeling on the side of a freeway holding someone's head and going like, I can't do shit. And I was like, no, I need to get out of this place. You know, I knew I was doing something, but I was like, can I do more? Like, and that was how I was like, okay, this is the path and this is the way. And that's why, so that, like, that really drove my ambition to be a public servant, right? So like, when you're going up through it, and you're like, okay, well, maybe I can be a driver, maybe I can be a medic, maybe I can be a captain. And like, so like now, I'm going to start grad school next month for emergency management, and I'm taking chiefs classes. I just took one in Oakdale, and that it was a great class, but it sucked, and it was hell expensive. And when I say sucked, I mean I had to drive 2 hours there, stay in a hotel room, spend a bunch of money. I met a lot of nice guys, a lot of smart guys, and I learned a lot. I legitimately learned a lot. It sounds like old man corny, but it's exciting to be like, cool, you know. And so to bring it all back, like I know what I've signed up for, and I swore an oath. Like it sounds cheesy, but I mean, like,
not to me.
I will pay the ultimate price if I have to, so that you can live, so that your family can live, and I'm prepared. Like my soul is prepared. I'm mentally prepared. Like, you know what I mean? My wife will be fine. My family will be fine.
So basically,
I will
what
do
you're
it.
describing right now is what you're waiting to hear from them.
Well,
because you're explaining it right now.
I want
I
them.
Can tell
I want them to want
like,
that, but I can't want it for them.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And not everybody's motivation is the same. But as long as we come together for the best overall solution and common good for everyone, I'm good with that. But I can't. It's unrealistic for me to have my expectations be the same as everybody else.
Yeah.
But if I can motivate you, like my only job, like as a coach and a mentor and a trainer or whatever you want to say, you know, a proctor, whether it's paramedicine or it's the fire academy or it's just me trying to develop my dudes at the station. Like my job is to validate skills, pass on what I've learned, you know, and support people and empower them and just kind of make them go up. And that's what we call servant-led leadership, you know. And those are like buzzwords and stuff like that, you know. But to me, being a leader is making everybody else around you better. And then we all rise on the same tide. You know what I mean? So, like, but at the same time, like, it's funny. Like, what really drove me was that, like, my parents were supportive, but I had a lot of, like, shitty authority figures in my life, whether it was school or sports teams or whatever. I just saw a lot of adults treating kids kind of shitty. And I was like, dude, like, I'm never going to be that way. I'm going to be the opposite. I'm going to help every motherfucker I come across. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whether they're 5 or 85. I'm going to help everybody and be the best person I can be. Because I just got like, I had so many negative interactions with like some shitbags. You know what I mean? And whatever. Maybe they were having a bad day or someone shit on them, like their mom and dad didn't hold them enough as a child. I don't know. So I don't wish them ill will, but I was like, I'm not going to do that. The opposite. And that was like another driving factor. So like for me, so like the last thing that like got me into the fire service, I was away at school. I got a message from my parents. They were like, hey, there was a fire at the house. Everyone's okay. You should come home. I drive home, house I grew up in. On the front lawn, a pile of burnt furniture and shit. My parents like, hey, we're at this hotel. Like, and I was like, okay, because like this is before cell phones, whatever. You know? Like, I think I had a pager. So they were like, yeah. So apparently they had a candle, like a scented candle, on a nightstand in the upstairs bedroom. The candle cracked. Got the nightstand. Got the drapes. Got the bed. My father and my younger brother through like a Home Depot extension ladder up to the second story, cracked out the window with like a framing hammer, and then just threw like the 3/4 inch garden hose in there.
Oh my God.
This is after they tried like 4 or 5 fire extinguishers to try, but it was a mattress, and they're up there, so they both ended up getting transported for smoke inhalation.
Yeah.
So I was not there.
I heard that's what get people most of the time is the smoke.
Well, like people die in fires not from the burns; they die from the burns on their lungs, or they asphyxiate, or the toxicity, shit like that. That's how you go. Unfortunately,
so it's not even just a burn.
You're going to die from taking a few breaths before the fire ever burns your body.
Mm.
That actually, I know it sounds stupid, but that makes me feel a little bit better.
Yeah.
Just because,
yeah.
I've been badly burned before, and, the pain from that, I can't imagine that through my whole body.
Well, all that gear, it doesn't make you invincible. It's not fireproof. It'll totally burn. And you can get burned.
How many
layers
do you guys actually?
Like 3.
Actually, that's something I wanted to talk about. Something you mentioned before was when you can feel that heat. What's going through your mind when you are there? You're the first guy who's about to, go charging into this freaking flaming building, and you feel that heat.
So it's like this. If we're talking let's call it what you call a bread and butter situation, right? And that's like a term for us. But it's let's say it's like a 3-2 single story house, right? And there's a fire, let's say, in one of the bedrooms in the back, right? You pull the line off the engine, you're calling for water, you're putting all your stuff on, you're airing up, you check your partner, they check you, and you're getting to the door, right? And it's 90% of the time you're going through the front man door, and you're flowing water and you're getting ready to make entry. So the first thing you do is you check the door. If you can even get through. If it's too hot, you got to find another way. Because there's literally places you can't pass even with all that stuff on.
And you literally tap the handle type.
So you actually get a little bit of bare skin, or even we have thermal imaging cameras too. They give us reading. It's they just get heat signatures and they give a temp. So you get that too. So then you open the door, and now you can feel you get enough training before you get there in live fire in a controlled setting that you kind of you have a pretty good idea, even with not a lot of experience, where you can operate and for how long. But the game of firefighting, it isn't like on TV where the guys have half open shit and they're fucking they take a breath and then they take the shit off. It's not like
loose helmets.
Keep it on.
The fucking smoke is banked down, and you are sometimes on your belly, crawling, pulling the hose, and you're going to where it's hot because you can't see shit. But we got cameras now, but it wasn't always like that. So you're trying to find what they call the seat of the fire. So you're going where it's hot, and when you get close, you can hear it. Then you can kind of start to see it. But when you get in there, and you're low, you're not. If you ran around on upright, you'd burn your neck, you'd burn your ears, your cheeks, ears, your neck, all that stuff would be uncomfortable.
Because heat rises,
and then it would start burning. Well, that's the least protected area. That's the chink in the armor, right? Your wrists, those places that are.
So you can be mobile.
It's the thinnest part, right?
Yeah.
But all that shit is just a barrier. It's a barrier of air. It's a thermal barrier that protects you. I remember I was training, and a big guy came back, and I was going to take his place, and he was just so big, he bumped me, and I went up against the wall, and the wall was so hot when it compressed the layers of my gear. I got a big ass second degree burn right here just from pressing up against the wall.
Shit.
So because that whole thermal layer got compressed, right? And it's it's no one's fault. I mean, if anything, I should have been more careful, or at least tried to avoid him, but it's hard in a narrow hallway.
Have you ever seen, I'm sure you have, the movie Backdraft?
Some Yeah.
Have you ever ran into a situation where you witnessed a situation where somebody just opened the door and the fire just engulfs them?
So yeah, Backdraft, there's some I don't want to call it signs and symptoms, but there's some precursors and things you will see on a building that can let you know that it's it will backdraft. Will it explode like crazy? No, most of the time. It just depends. So what it's doing in there is it's either consumed all the oxygen or the fuel or something. So when you let in a bunch of air, it's what they call on a muscle car with a carburetor, you have lean or rich. Mm-hmm. Same thing, right? So if it's too lean of air, right? Mm-hmm. So when you pop that door and all that fresh air rushes in, that's when it blows up. Okay, so you can tell there's like a color of staining on the windows, and then sometimes if the smoke will go out and then it'll suck back in. It'll go like it'll come out of the eaves or like a window. It almost is like the building is breathing. That is like a dead sign that it's going to backdraft.
Have you seen that?
Yeah. So basically, what you have
did your heart drop when you see that shit? Like,
I feel like it's
everyone's like, hey, everybody
common.
just backs up, and then you just have to vent it a certain way.
Okay.
And then you slowly introduce air into it by like you can't just go around breaking windows. You just gotta open doors and close them, and you get enough air in there where it evens the mixture out, and then you're able to like get in and actually put water.
Okay.
But that's like. That's another thing is like I think people think like you open the bale and you just like you let loose this like deluge of water. It's not like that. You go in like fighting fire. If you saw a hose in a building, it's like jumps up and down. It's like bam, 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 and that's like when guys are fighting fire interior because it's like a burst. You go like that when you're spraying bursts of water. Because if you dumped a ton of water on like a ripping fire, it turns out all the steam and everyone's gonna get burned.
So.
Oh crap!
So you got to put a little bit on at once, and you can spray the ceiling, darken it down, then you hit the seat, and you knock it all out.
So touching on what you were talking about, how you were like you and this big man was coming through, and he pushed you up against
it's training
and stuff like that. But like in an actual scenario, and it's hot, you can't take anything off. You have to leave it on. I'm pretty sure you're sweating balls.
Oh yeah. No, you sweat down to your underwear.
So what does conditioning look like for you to prepare for that situation? Because it's hot. I'm pretty sure you guys are killing hella calories in 1 house.
You learn really quick if it's for you or not, right? So you have to learn to breathe on a closed air system. It's the same thing as a scuba. It's just not rigged for underwater.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a closed system. And even though you have 45 minutes of air, when you're working, like some dudes will get 10, 11, 12 minutes. Guys who are super crazy fit, when they're working really hard, maybe get 20-something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's usually the guys that are like swimmers and runners, but they also have a body type too. You got to be, the more fit you are, age isn't really a factor, it's physical fitness.
Yeah.
But if you're bigger, you're going to use more air.
Yeah.
It's just more muscle, it's more mass, it's just oxygen demand, right?
Yeah.
So like little guys that are skinny, they always, it's less air, But, there are people who have walked. I saw it when I was down at the academy. There's people are just like, they're like, I need to get out. And they're just like, they rip their stuff off and get out. I've seen people bail out of fires. It's hot, or whatever, and they'll bail out, They'll only kind of like there's no like, it's not punitive, but like it needs to be addressed in the sense that either they need more training to prevent that because they can endanger themselves or their brothers and sisters around them. You know what I mean? So it rarely. I've only seen it once, twice, maybe in 20 years here. I've seen it more in training or the academy. Okay. Because the academy is like 4 to 6 months, depending on but they put you through tons of rounds of and it's building blocks. First, you start learning how to put the gear on, then you breathe on it, then you work out in it, then they put you in teams, and you're moving hose, and you're putting up ladders, So you build up to the point where, and like when you're in an academy, you have like 10 sets of clothing. So they'll break you, and you go and get water, you get a snack, you know what I mean? You chug some electrolytes, and you put on a fresh t-shirt and shorts, you get back in there. You know what I mean? And then, you have like however many for the day, and there's showers and all that stuff. And so there's a lot of like turnover there. But yeah, you sweat down to your underwear and I have underwear and socks with like 2 sets in my bag.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's like it's disgusting. You pull there's stuff flying out, and then you put on a fresh t-shirt out of fire, man, it's like you just took a shower. You know what I mean? Oh my gosh, yeah.
Real quickly, just because it's something I saw very recently, was people debating on when is a proper time to give CPR. So I know that that's something.
If you think you should, go for it.
Well,
no, yeah.
Well, so here's why, right? This girl had just drowned, apparently, right? And she got pulled out of the water, and the guy's giving her CPR, but like while he's doing the compressions, she's making noises and like parts of her are moving, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people were like, "Oh no, it obviously means she's conscious." Right? Like, so if the heart's beating, you should not be doing CPR.
Yeah, if you can stop, that's different. So there's a few things going on there. That's a potential freshwater drowning. There's, and then there's also there's an airway obstruction. These are, so like, when people are needing CPR, it's not always choking. They can be together, right? So like, with choking, there are times where you'll pause and see if you can clear the airway, whether they do it or you assist them with back blows or whatever it is. But like, basically with CPR, the basic tenets of CPR is like you try and get a pulse for like 10 seconds. If you can't get one, or it's shallow, or you're faint, or you can't get it for 10 seconds, they want to minimize interruptions for compressions. Yeah. And actually, ventilations and compressions, right? Where you're, like you're pinching someone's mouth and breathing, or you use a mask or whatever it is. In Canada, they do hands-only CPR. Mm-hmm. And a lot of other countries are moving that way because what really saves lives is because like your body, with like the vascular system, it's like a pump and it needs to be primed. Like it doesn't, like you got to like compress someone's heart like 20, 30 times just to get everything going again. That's why they want to minimize compressions. But what really saves lives is the AED or like a defibrillator. That little device right there, and it's not a jump start, it's a shutdown. You guys know that? So
see, that's completely different than what movies and TV tell us. They tell us, someone's heart stops. And
so you have an electrical system, right? And what it is when it's in a rhythm it shouldn't be, and it's going haywire, right? Yeah. That's what they call ventricular fibrillation or VFib or whatever it is, tachycardia. So what you're doing is you're using electricity. It's a reset. It's not a restart or a jump start. It's a reset.
Like adjust back to normal.
Yep. 100%. So what you're doing?
They totally make it seem like
I know, right?
Exactly. Old, and then boom, you're back.
Yeah.
But you're actually alive and going.
It's not paddles, it's patches. So you do like stickers.
That too.
Yeah, you stickers. Yeah, and you press a button and it walks you through it. And it'll tell everybody to clear, because if you're touching somebody, you'll go out too. Yeah. So be careful.
Okay.
Yeah, but you turn it on, it's idiot proof. We call it firefighter proof.
It reminds me of that video when he touches the wire. Cowabunga, baby.
Yeah. But yeah, like so basically it's a hard reset. That's what it's turning your phone on and off, turning your computer on and off, because it's letting your body's electrical system in your restart. Mm-hmm. That's all it is. Okay. So that's how it works. Defibrillation, that's how it works.
But for like in the case of this girl who drowned, like she was like gone, that wouldn't really work then, right?
It depends on what rhythm her heart was in.
Right? Oh, got it.
So the flat line,
she had turned white already.
So you can't shock flat line. That's called asystole. You don't. You like the heart has to be going like this.
Okay, so it needs a pulse to use it.
But you can give drugs like epinephrine, what they call,
EpiPen.
Yeah. So that's what they call, that like the big shot to the heart.
If someone has like an overdose or because I think they used to use that. Adrenaline.
Okay. Epinephrine is made from adrenaline. Okay. Right? They harvest it from a pituitary glands of like cows and pigs. So that's just to give your heart so you can give drugs and use electricity to speed people's heart up, slow it down. You know what I mean? And that's what they call a cardiac monitor.
Okay.
But these drugs, and then they have you have different drugs, like you have epinephrine and atenolol and all this other stuff. So it's like you have like stuff to like slow heart rhythms or atropine to bring it up and stuff like that. Yeah. So it's a little like as a medic, you probably got the chief amount of drugs that you have. It's to deal with heart problems, breathing problems, diabetic stuff, and then you got your trauma stuff. You know what I mean, and some other things.
Yeah.
Chemical imbalances and stuff like that. And there's you can snow them, you know what I mean? Like, people having a seizure and stuff like that. And that's basically, it's all to just do the amount of treatment you need to stabilize people and then get them to a hospital.
Got it.
Get them off the floor of the Jiffy Lube and to the ER where there's a doctor and a team of people where they can give all kinds of drugs, and they have a cath lab and an MRI, and you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Surgeons,
But for like the average person who's out there who doesn't have any equipment, like the good rule of thumb you said is if you think they probably need it, then do it.
Call 911, get some help. Yeah, start CPR, you call 911, you get help, right? And then, you start that chain of survival, right? And then then you can get somebody on the phone, and dispatchers they're trained and they have like a bunch of information, and they'll be like, what do you have? And you tell them, and they're like, okay, this is what you need to do. And they'll help you until we show up. And we show up and go, okay, we got you. You can hang up now.
What's something that because I also read online because of that video, like what's something that when you're doing something like that, like a life-saving technique like CPR or the Heimlich, like what's something that people don't, I guess, like there's a lot of misconception out there. Like I didn't know until that video that you're supposed to break the rib cage. To do,
you're not supposed to.
Sorry, it happens most of the time. It's very common.
So it's different for kids, but adults, like the depth is different. You know what I mean? Like, so like with a baby, you're doing this.
Do you know CPR?
No, obviously not.
It's complete. I've learned it from working from the fetus all the way up. Yeah. It's different for infants. It's different for teenagers, and it's different for adults. Same thing with choking and everything like that. It's completely different.
So really, everyone should just learn CPR. Why don't we? Why do they not teach CPR in school?
That's a big thing.
I think you have to learn it in high school now.
Now?
Maybe.
I know back. When we were in high school, they didn't teach it.
Or maybe first aid, but it's easy. You can take it online. It's like, there's a lot of like. So what we were talking about, CERT, right, which is Community Emergency Response Teams or whatever. So like, there's like they'll bring like people. You do an auditorium at a school, and they have like mass CPR classes and stuff. And then, but knowing how to operate an AED, like if someone goes down, like you should be looking for an AED. Like somebody call 911, someone get me an AED, and then you know what I mean. That's when you would assess the person, be like, see what you can do.
So just to let everyone know, they're gracious enough to send us home with an AED and a CPR dummy today.
Yep.
I'm just kidding.
Get a bag of drugs.
Just gonna be at home practicing my CPR technique.
So other than being out on the field, what's the culture like in the house?
So it's basically hanging out with dudes. I mean, you're like a family.
Dudes and females sometimes, right?
Yeah. So. There's not as many girls. We actually have kind of a lot. And there was like, there's like in a male-dominated field, there's pushback and stuff like that. Yeah. But those days are over. For the most part, like when you'll get girls and they fit in fine. And we make accommodations. It's funny, I was thinking about this. You make accommodations, but it's like normal stuff you do as a man with women anyways. We all have moms and sisters and like daughters and all that kind of stuff. So it's like one thing for women in the firehouse with us in my department. I can't speak for everyone, but like they get their own bathroom, which I'm 100% okay with, because like most girls 100% don't want to share bathrooms that are getting pounded by a bunch of dudes.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, because it's gross. You know what I mean? So like, but we clean our stuff like religiously, but our standing cultural accommodation is that like women will get their own bathroom. So but then, they do share dorms and stuff like that.
So by you saying that, so then you guys actually don't experience now day and age and how there's now transgenders and it's more out there. And are they transgenders in the field now? And have you heard of anything of that? No, I don't know about it.
No, but it's coming.
It's now day and age. It's normalized as far as
that. We haven't had like any bathroom issues or anything like that. But that would be easy to get around.
Yeah, for sure.
But like now with stations, it used to be it was like a bunk, like a military barracks. It was just like a big room with a bunch of bunk beds. And now they're building stations like these. Everybody has their own room
with the door and everything.
Yep.
Oh, that's
so yeah. So because
I'm running off of Chicago fires. Yeah. I'm not sure if that's so realistic or not.
Well, it's older, but this is a new station, right? Yeah, we have plenty of stations that have what they call dorms. You know what I mean? But like they have office partitions, so you have your own little cubby, your cubicle or whatever. But like when you're trying to sleep, like there's a guy talking to his wife, or he's got his kids FaceTiming and stuff, or someone's watching a movie. Like it's but everybody, you have like a basic lights out time. So like, let's talk about a typical day. So like when you start your tour, you have to take over for the people that are going home. So the professional courtesies, you get there at least a half an hour early. I get there like an hour early because I live in town. You get there early, you let everybody know you're there. They might have gotten beat up at night, so they're still sleeping in. But essentially what happens is you come, have a cup of coffee, you catch up, and then they'll be like, okay, this is what happened. Here's what we did. This was significant. This is broken. This needs to be replaced. Sorry, we fixed this. We did that. Whatever it is. And it's kind of like station stuff, engine stuff, supplies, that kind of stuff. Oh, we went on this person again. They're getting sicker. Oh, there was a little fire in the creek. Oh, we had a wreck on 680. We used this. This broke last night. We put in an order. You guys got to go pick it up. That, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then the offgoing guys leave. And then you start your day, right? So Some guys work out. The first thing you do is you put your stuff on the rig and then you check out your stuff. Okay?
Yeah.
So like you check out the medical gear, you check out the lines, you know what I mean? You check out all the,
like a pre-trip.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Very similar. But you set up your gear so that it's ready to go. And so like everybody kind of has their own little way. Like maybe they put their helmet like this and unfold the thing so they go like this. Or whatever it is, right? Mm-hmm. They get their coat hung up.
Do you guys have rituals?
What's that?
You have rituals like you do like
superstitions.
Superstitions. There you go.
I mean,
like, do you hold a bottle cap that's like, oh crap! Every time I have this, it's a great day.
I have like a lot of people have pictures. Like I have a picture of my wife in my helmet, like in the inside.
Yeah.
But I also have a little card of Saint Florian. That's like the patron saint of firefighters. But we used to have a fire department chaplain, and I liked him. His name was Father Stout, and I loved him to death. And he, so he was like, he would come to our fires and stuff, and he'd like pray for us, and like he had his own turnouts. He was amazing.
Yeah.
And but he was like a real Catholic priest, like old school style, like like in the cathedral, like he served there, like downtown, the St. Joseph's and stuff, and so like he was like an institution with us, and like he would come to fires, and he'd pray over you. It was amazing. So he gave me that card, and I've held on to it. It's like it's like a piece of it was burned because like I had like it was like on the outside of my helmet. Now I have it like taped inside. Mm-hmm. So that I won't say that's like superstitious, but I kind of like I'm like that's a piece of him with me.
Yeah.
As I go, you know what I mean? Because I really liked him. He was like you know what I mean? He was like the grandpa, and he was just a total sweetheart. So like I used to kind of say something to myself when I would go, you know, and I'd be like, I just want to live these next few moments to the best of my abilities. Like a small little prayer. Yeah, kind of, yeah. Okay. And then, but like now it's like, now I find myself only saying that if I'm like oh shit.
Like shit's hitting the fan.
Yeah. So, I mean, I still get scared. Any guy who says they're not scared is lying.
Yeah.
Lying. Everybody gets it's good to be a little scared.
Yeah, yeah.
What are some of the, like, because this, like you said, this is like a brotherhood, right? Or brotherhood and sisterhood, right?
Yeah.
But what are some of the annoyances that you have, like, on a day-to-day life here? Like someone who brings back chicks at 2:30 in the morning, or like won't stop farting in bed. Dude,
well, it's still your work.
They can do whatever they want, bro. They save everyone. Yeah. I don't think anyone's gonna complain.
Okay, so like let's look.
Just things that are just irritating.
Here's a scenario, and this affects me more not like as like a supervisor, right? Mm-hmm. Let's say a guy shows up. It's like I said, it's common courtesy to show up at 7:30. So it's 7:59 and 59 seconds. That's what you call a minute man, right? Uh-huh. The guy shows up. He's in street clothes. He's got a dip in his mouth. He's like, oh, I got to go to the bathroom. Call goes off.
You're not ready.
Yeah, that guy's not ready, so you got to go take that call. You're getting held over. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So those guys are like, that's an IGMer. You know what I mean? But I mean, I've heard of new captains having to deal with, guy comes in, he reeks of alcohol, goes straight to bed. What do you do? You know what I mean? What do you do? You know what I mean? It's like, do you hit him hard? Do you let it ride? Like, you know what I mean? So like, the right thing to do is you go and see if that dude is even fit to work. Is he hungover? Is he still drunk? You need to put yourself out of service and get him, it's just like one I mean, there's all, like you said, like bringing girls back to the fire station. Dudes, like,
because I mean, young guys, they want to show off, right?
Well, there's a guy who goes out and he's, goes out and, breaks his ankle, because he's doing,
and this is all on the clock?
Yeah. So, like, maybe this guy, like, he goes for, like a guy goes jogging at 10 o'clock, doesn't tell people.
So how does that even
weird
work,
shit,
though? Like, once the alarm goes off for a call and you're jogging, how does that even... Right.
So, like, it depends. Is he your medic or not? Can you go... Is it a medical call? Can you leave him and come back? Like, but if he's unaccounted for, now you don't have personal accountability, right? So you have to go out of service. You send the next rig. You find him, right? So you still have to deal with the emergency, whether you backfill or account for it, but or if one of your guys gets injured or something, you know, or like maybe you go and you help somebody and that guy accidentally brushes fentanyl, goes down. Now you have 2 patients, and you're like, okay, I got to call in help. You know what I mean?
Backup and everything.
Yeah.
Get the other station to come out.
You still have to take care of the original patient. Now we have 2 patients, and now you're like, I need another ambulance, code 3. I have an exposure. Give me this, give me that, give me this, give me that. Right? So
touching on what you were saying about a guy coming in reeking of alcohol and going straight to sleep. How does depression, anxiety, and everything play into such a crazy environment of a job?
Let me tell you this. The thing I would say that is the biggest plague, like, that I've seen, and so I come from a military and law enforcement family.
Okay.
Which is already, those 2 careers have tons of divorce. Yeah. So we're talking about divorce, right?
Yeah.
And we're talking about how divorce particularly affects males in this state, right?
Okay.
Because it's heavily, heavily, heavily favored towards give everything to mom and the kids, give mom the kids, right? Now you're kind of seeing a little bit of different landscape. And this isn't a male versus female. No, yeah. I'm just telling you what I have seen historically, right? I'm not getting on the women's side or, he cheated, she cheated, none of that. I'm just saying divorce is raw. It is hardcore, it is real, and it tears dudes up. And it tears dudes up for years. So I've seen guys that'll come in, they're like, oh, so-and-so's going through a divorce. And then you find out it was 3 years ago. You know what I mean? Maybe they kept their house. They kept their pension. That is bad. That is real PTSD. That is rough. Like, these are people who have become vindictive against each other, and they're weaponizing the kids against each other, and they're nickel and diming each other, and they're always in court, and it's just a horrible, horrible, horrible situation. So, like, as a supervisor, the best thing you can do is be supportive of your people, and you give them resources. So, like, like the city's got an employee assistance program that's pretty good. Like, like I've used it before. Most people have at some point in their career. So they have counselors, they have lawyers, they have real estate people, there's financial assistance. If anything under the sun, that is through your union and your city. But you also want to be a good person and be like, hey, here's my phone number, fucking call me. You know what I mean? I'm here for you off duty. And that is part of, like, the family and the culture. Yeah. So, like, even if somebody is like a turd, they're your turd. You know what I mean? So, like, it's okay for us to beat you up a little bit, but I'm going to make you better. But if somebody messes with you, now it's all of us versus you because you're ours, right? Kind of thing. And that's, like, so, I mean, we do, like I'm going to meet my probie tomorrow. Like, he's from Idaho. I'm going to take him wine tasting. Me and my wife are going to take him out wine tasting. Nice. And then when his girlfriend comes back, we're going to take her, He doesn't know shit. So, like, I'm trying to bring him into this, I guess what California has to offer. But that's part of me. And I'm like 20-something years older. I could be his dad. You know what I mean? But it's like, he's new. He doesn't know shit. Yeah. And, like, this is me taking care of him. Yeah. And going like, hey, dude, let's, you know what I mean? Because he's like, when I asked him, I was like, hey, what are you going to do? And he's like, well, I'm going to work out, and I'm going to go shopping, and I'll do this and that. And I was like, that sounds really, really boring. And then, he's like, I'm going to go to the game. So I was telling him where to go and stuff. But then I was like, what are you doing Sunday? And he's like, I don't know. I have nothing. Like, and he's talking about working more. I'm like, that's cool, but you're going to get mandoed a bunch. How about this? Let's hang out. I have a duty to make him better and train him and stuff, but I also spent a lot of time telling him that this is the best department and we're a family and you'll love this culture. How can I tell him some bullshit like that if I'm not delivering on it? Now, that doesn't mean I have to take him out and, like, get him drunk or whatever. Yeah. But, like, maybe we go mountain biking, or maybe we go, like, grab a cup of coffee. Yeah, totally. Show him that bond. 100%. Yeah. So I was like, we take him to a coffee shop or whatever, like, or maybe we do go get drunk or whatever. But I mean, it's like, at least I'm making good on something I told him was a reality that I have, right? Which is like, we can hang out. Most people, like I said, the one thing that hurts that, and dudes are down to hang out. And, like, we'll get together. There's softball trips. There's stickball. There's, you know what I mean? And, like, but one thing I've seen fall away are the philanthropical and, like, extracurricular, like, organizations and activities that people used to be a part of. So, like, I'm part of the Burn Foundation. I'm part of the Bomberos. And, like, the Bomberos have a toy drive in this city that's very, very popular. Yeah. It's a big fixture in town, which I've helped out for years, The Burn Foundation has filled the boot. And they take kids to burn camp. So I was able to go to burn camp for the first time in my career. Always wanted to go. And I did it when I was at the academy, which was hardcore because like I was already busy, and then I went and did like this crazy camp with all these kids, you know.
Yeah.
But it was awesome. But I see a lot of the same people doing these clubs, you know, because everybody else is busy going somewhere else. And I get it. They're going somewhere else because their kid has soccer practice, and then they're going to karate, and then they have to like work another job so that they can put them in private school because they don't like their school and they need to fix their minivan. I totally get it. But like becoming a commuter department has hurt our culture, and it's hurt our engagement and our brotherhood. Kind of badly. Some places more than others. Some places are super tight and they fucking do everything together and they're hanging out all the time. There's entire stations where they mountain bike together before work, stuff like that. You know.
Do you guys do like softball? And like one department is one team, and the other department's the other team.
No, we play each other, and then they have a tournament every year in Las Vegas, and like we're horrible. We get our ass beat all the time.
Does it get competitive though?
Oh yeah, like, there are guys. I remember we ended up just like we have guys just that end up just like we drinking and dancing in the dugout.
Well, that's what softball's all about.
Yeah, we end up losing badly enough to the point where we're just like whatever. But like, I mean, I remember there was like teams from the Midwest where there was dudes that looked like they were professional baseball players, and they're like roping them out, like, you know, fucking hitting triples and home runs and shit. These dudes look like, you know, they came to play, like ringers.
Yeah.
You know? Ah, shit, dude, we're gonna get destroyed, you know. But, you know, some guys are super serious about it. Ours, not so much. And it's mainly there to just hang out and have get a hall pass and boy time, and you know what I mean. And get out there and you know. But guys bring their families too. Guys bring their wives and their kids too, you know. But it's not. I mean, for the most part, it's the younger guys that are going out there playing softball and drinking beers and eating sunflower seeds and talking shit, you know, and going eating steak and
putting dipping, spitting out on the grass.
Yeah. Well, it's Zins now. The Zin is the big thing.
Oh yeah. I have heard of those.
The little pouches.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even have to spit those out. You can swallow those.
Yeah, that's hardcore.
Yeah.
So touching back on something, because I don't want to run out of time, but it's something, and if you're not okay talking about it, you don't have to, but was something you brought up before, which was the Mayday call, right?
Yeah.
So what that makes me think, like, are you comfortable talking about your worst day on the job? Whether it was one of your fellow brothers or sisters going down, whether it was something else within, you know, but are you okay talking about your worst day that comes to mind on the job?
Yeah. So I'll tell you, it's funny because I talked to my wife about this a lot. She's heard every story I've had. I'm sure she's very, very, very good about it, but I know she's heard all this bullshit. But so I'll give you an example. I was on probation. I was new, and so I was working with. He's one of my best friends, and he was like what we call the liaison in my academy. Mm-hmm. So that is like a sort of like a fifth year senior. It's like guy, you know, or girl or whatever. It's a firefighter who has like 4, 5, 6 years on, and they come down to training, and they basically go, here's what you guys need to do. Here's how you know, they lead PT. They tell you how to dress. You know, they get you information. They rally you. You know, they take care of you. They're basically embedded with you, and they go between like the staff. Mm-hmm. You know, so he and I got real close in the academy because we had a lot of common ground. So he was the medic, and I had been a medic before, but I wasn't on the ambulance. But like I had got hired as an EMT, I ended up becoming a medic very, very quickly. But I had some experience, not as much as him. But we ended up going to a call in this. It was for a cardiac arrest, and it was in this like big high-rise downtown where there's a bunch of elderly Asian people. Mm-hmm. And it was like all the way up at the fucking top. And I remember this because there was we had a ride along, and he was like a water polo player, big, lanky guy, but he was super fit and young, and he was a ride along with us. And so, and I think he was CPR trained or something. So, and the captain was a really, really, really cool old guy. I think his nickname was Brownie. But I won't give his real name, but he was a total prince, an absolute sweetheart, a total fucking ace. I don't even remember who the driver was, but because San Jose has 4 people on a rig. Most fire departments around us have 3. Mm-hmm. It's a captain, a medic, firefighter, and an engineer. We have an engineer who's like the driver, the captain, a firefighter EMT, and a firefighter medic. So I was the firefighter EMT, and then my buddy was, we'll call him Blondie. He was the medic. So me and Blondie are up there. So this guy, he brings us in. It's his dad. We go to work. Fucking go to work. And me and this guy just like, you know, kind of anticipating each other's moves. Like, we get a breathing tube. We fucking get an IV right away. We're dropping drugs. We're doing, like, we had that kid get down and do CPR. And he was doing CPR so good. I was watching the monitor, it was like boom, boom, boom. Really effective. And then I could feel in the old man's wrist, I could feel the pulse. That's how fucking good CPR this guy was doing. Crap. We were putting forth like 110%, 120%. I mean, we were putting home run ass in this. Like, we were really, really trying hard for whatever reason. We did everything. We must have worked that shit for like a half an hour. And then we finally had to call it. So we get up, we clean up, you know, the captain's like, hey, I'm sorry for your loss. Fucking, I don't even know if he had that conversation with him, because I was just like in probie mode. I'm like, you know, like, and we clean up all this shit, you know. And then in that situation, law enforcement comes. That's totally normal, right? Sometimes the coroner, but like law enforcement is always attached. And
but you guys call it, right?
Yeah, we pronounce death and stuff like that. And but like law enforcement shows up. It is a normal chain of 911, especially in a cardiac arrest, possible like, you know, expiration of the patient, you know, if they pass away. So they just come in, and they are the ones who come in and they go, do you need, if you have afterlife services, do you need, like, here's what we can do for you, and they can bring a coroner, like, you know what I mean? They're the ones who provide everything after we come in, try to like provide life-saving treatment, and then we leave. We turn it over to, and PD are the ones who I'm sorry for your loss. Can we do anything for you? They're actually the ones who do a lot of that.
Like the comforting process.
Yeah, but they offer all those services afterwards. I know what they do, but I don't actually I can't offer shit for it. It's on their end. Yeah. You know, so like, I mean, I can just from experience. I can be like, hey, this is Neptune Society, or hey, you might try this, or, you know, have you called this? I know the procedure, but they are extremely well versed, and they have all kinds of resources, and they can make phone calls, and they have pamphlets and all this shit. But it's normal. So, you know, PD's there, and we're hustling stuff out. And I remember walking by the son, and I just looked at his face, and he was fucking crushed. His world was destroyed. I mean, I will never, ever forget the look on his face for the rest of my life. And I will always, always regret the fact I just walked by him, I didn't say shit, and I left. And what I wanted to do was put my hand on his shoulder and say, I am so sorry. I am so sorry for your loss. But I didn't do that because I was afraid of getting in trouble because I was on probation, and I thought it was unprofessional, and I just left. And that will always bother me for the rest of my life, because all I had to do was be a human being and be compassionate. Like, so I went against my inner nature, and what I was doing was I thought I was being professional. But like, that guy's face is just etched on my mind for the rest of my life. He was so angry and so sad and so fucked all at once. And I felt like to me, I'll always have that regret of going, could I have at least eased this guy's suffering even a little bit? But nope. You know, I was so like, and I'm not knocking my department. That was, I put it on myself, you know, because I remember talking to Blondie about it. He's like, dude, you should have said something. Why didn't you say something? You know? Yeah. Had a similar instance where there was a young girl. She was, the only reason I say this, she was Middle Eastern because her name was kind of hard to pronounce, at least for me. Like, and again, I was an EMT on probation. She was on a bicycle, got hit by a car, had a broken hip. So she was totally altered. So she's out of it. When a broken hip is extremely painful. I mean, you'll wait, like the biggest, toughest, most hardcore person, wail like a banshee. So we showed up, and like, I think, a truck showed up. I don't remember why. Probably, I think they might've brought it in because there was like scene control. Cause it was a busy street. Like, it was like a 4-lane street and it was like nighttime, like rush hour traffic, but it was winter. It was super dark. And there was a ton of people standing around. They're like, she did it on purpose. She's trying to kill herself. She rode into traffic. And I remember I remember looking at her face, and she was extremely beautiful. Like, and she was dressed. Kind of hard for me. It's kind of hard for me to talk about this a little bit, but like she was wearing the kind of stuff that like an attractive, popular girl would wear. Nothing crazy, not risque or anything. But I mean, she wasn't homeless. She didn't look like she was on drugs. She didn't. I guess where I'm going with this was, I was like, she was so beautiful. Like she was in. I mean, it was like hard to like look at her. She was so beautiful, and it was like, what could be so bad in you? Not that I swallowed everything these people had to say, because they don't fucking know her probably, but I was like, they said, I mean, there was like 10 or 12 people that were like, she did it on purpose. She was trying to kill herself. We don't get it. Like, what do we, do you want us to say something? Do we need to take a statement? There's all these people. We're trying to control the scene. There's cars. You know what I mean? And I just remember thinking to myself, I was like, what is so bad in your life that this is how you had to do it? This is the only way out. You know what I mean? Like, so I didn't do shit, and it bothered me. Same thing. I talked to Blondie. He's like, hey man, you could have called the hospital. You're not violating anything. You could have just found out if she lived or died. Like that is, that is 100%. All you had to do, here's the number. You call the ER, talk to the charge nurse, and they would have been like, no, yeah, she's, she went into surgery. She's going to live, like her hip. She's going to walk again. Like she got, then they did she get help? Because they said this, you could have done that. I could have done that, but I just was so like apprehensive for fear of some kind of like punitive reparation, like because I was acting like, and that was a different one too, because I was young and single. She was an extremely beautiful girl, and I was like, I don't know if I want to get involved in that, And I'll be honest with you guys, I've seen, I've been to hangings, and I'm not trying to be like, oh my God, I'm a cool guy, because it's horrible. There's a lot of stuff I've seen that I can never unsee.
Yeah.
You'll go to one and it's like, you'll see people that have passed away all the time. But I remember I went to like a big discount store. A guy had hung himself, and we went up there, cut him down, worked on him for a good 20 or 30 minutes, ended up calling it. And I just remember the look on that guy's, like that's another thing that's like etched in my brain. You know what I mean? Is the way that guy, the look on his face was just pain and suffering. A lot of people, like I remember I saw a guy who had put a bag over his head and he used helium from like the party store. He had a terminal illness and he was suffering for like 20 years. So he just took his own life. He was done with it. He's like, he had terminal, he was in pain. And I was just like, apparently if you put helium in a bag, it like displaces oxygen, you just go to sleep. It's actually a very peaceful way to go. That guy, grandpa was asleep. This guy is different. You could tell he was just in pain and suffering right up till the very end. I mean, the look on his face, I remember thinking like, God damn, dude, he hung himself at work in the attic. Like, you could, like, how had the world and all the people around him failed him so badly that this was the only way, like you couldn't reach out, couldn't talk to anybody. Like he went to great lengths to make sure that no one was going to find him. He was getting out, you know what I mean? Yeah, but just the look on his face, like I remember it like it was yesterday. I don't know why. I don't know that guy. I don't know his story. His coworkers barely knew him. But I mean, it's just like that poor bastard. You know what I mean? Yeah. If he only tried, if he just talked to one person, made one phone call, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So that's like that kind of stuff. I'm like, fuck, like, like what do you do? So. That for us, like some guys work out a lot. For some people, it's religion. For some people, it might be yoga. I can tell you this, like there's a saying that some guys have where they go, if you ever want to feel better about yourself, just go to work. Because we do deal with a segment of people who are having it pretty rough. You know what I mean? Socioeconomically depressed, drugs and alcohol, homelessness, you know what I mean? So you're going out and you're seeing people who have it pretty rough. It makes you appreciate what you do have. You know what I mean? Yeah. When you have a wife and kids to go home to, parents who love you, a decent house, fucking car that works and all this kind of stuff. Like a lot of people they're dated, not even check to check. They're like fucking hour to hour maybe. You know what I mean?
And nowadays I realize that life's so fast with people that they don't slow down and realize what you actually have in life. And me and him actually talked about this a few months ago A lot has to do with people not understanding what's out in the world, and people who are closed off and don't experience life to the fullest. Like we went to Europe a few years ago, and it just opened my eyes on how good I have it back in America.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Well, yeah, if you go to any developing nation, any struggling nation,
Exactly.
war torn, that will give you but a lot of people never leave their little corner of the world, and I get it. It's like expensive, and it's time consuming, and it's not easy, and it's not possible for everybody. But if you could just go anywhere,
or just even try to ground yourself in your reality of, don't get caught up with how life is. Just keep going and going. Slow down, sit back. You know what I mean? Just enjoy a nice day and
honestly, be nice. Try and help people. You know what I mean? Be nice and try and help as many people as you can. But I thought, just be cool. For me, I'll say, I was just gonna say something that so there's I don't know how to say this without making everybody connect the dots. Well, there's a person that I see sometimes at work, and this person uses methamphetamines. So this person calls 911 a lot, right? And I have seen this person literally start losing teeth and, you know what I mean, start getting sores and all this kind of stuff. So I talked to this person. I'm like, hey, you need to quit meth. You need to get clean. This is what you need to say when you go to the ER. Try this, and I was asking questions. And then, this was not my normal crew that I work with, and they were kind of giving me shit a little bit. They're like, oh yeah, you really reached her, and I'm like, hey, fuck you guys, you know what I mean? At least I tried. You know what I mean?
You just the goodness in your heart.
I mean, it was just now I feel responsible because I'm a supervisor. I feel but I have made headway doing that, right? I've reached people just by talking to them and going I've had success, I guess we'll say that. I've had some success just by going have you tried this? What is your plan? Have you, sometimes it's just people want to know that somebody actually gives half of a fuck about them, or that it's not that bad, or there is a way out, or it's just a little bit. The magic pill is not medicine or treatment. It's just keep trying and don't give up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean.
So some people just need that tiny little crack in the door. That's it, just to know that it's there.
So that's all I'm trying to do. But I just was surprised at how two of these guys, and I'm trying to set the example for another guy who was new. You know what I mean? And he was the actual medic, I've been a medic for 20 years or something, but right now I'm not. I mean, we have a support medic program. I could be if I wanted to. But, honestly, if it came down to it, and that's another thing, you get deposed and have to go to court and stuff like that. If we got in a situation and they were I needed to jump in and do medicine and stuff like that, I'd do it. Because guess what? I'd rather stand up in court and go, if they're why'd you, and they're jamming me up, I'd be like, hey, what would you want me to do? Not act if he's your family or is you lying there? You want me to, I would think you would want me to act, but I think I'm doing the best thing for the patient. Yeah. And I'd rather stand up here and say, I tried, than stand up here and go, I didn't do shit because I thought I was going to get in trouble.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I think that's fantastic, man. I think, it's awesome.
Your outlook, dude.
Your outlook on how you control yourself, and there's obviously a reason why you got to where you're at right now, your position.
A big part of all of this is because I like to develop people and invest. I like training and mentoring. I always have, and coaching and teaching and stuff. I really love teaching. I taught EMS for many, 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 many years. I taught EMT and paramedic for a long time.
Yeah.
But I kind of now I'm doing fire training. You know what I mean? Because now there's a captain, but it's a little different. But I've always loved to teach, and share knowledge and see that light bulb go off in people. You know what I mean?
How can other people, you make your whole life about helping people? How can people support you? How can people support local fire departments?
Vote. Yeah. When you see something that has to do with funding us or anything that's going to affect the building of stations, giving us resources, vote in our favor. You know what I mean? And that is just to give the people their resources. The other way would be to vote in terms of our compensation, because honestly, fire and police, that's the biggest line item on a budget, right? Pensions and salaries and stuff like that. But without having that firsthand knowledge and going on a ride along and seeing what we do, and I'm not saying I need $1 bajillion, but it's just there's a reason why we have to end up retiring at 50 because you have a torn rotator cuff and a fucked up MCL and your lower back has been bothering you for 5 years, but you haven't done anything about it. You got a kink in your neck and you haven't slept. You missed 18 Christmases and your kids are now 10 years old and you didn't go to half of their soccer practices, all that stuff, right? Mm-hmm. That is why you get the compensation that you do and you get to retire when you do. But I mean, like, it's hard to make those connections because when people are like looking at a ballot, but the city was like, they could do more with less, or they could do the same with less. So if you feel like you can do the research and you find it in your heart, it'd be nice if people would show up and like vote when they want to take away our pension or fucking something. Because it's like, if you want, like, you can't pay people bullshit wages and expect them to be super stoked and fucking risk everything for you. It's just not going to happen. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? If we were all working, and you guys were like, hey, we're going to pay you like nothing, but like work super hard, I'd be like, no. You know what I mean? Exactly. That's how it goes, right? So it's like, I mean...
Kind of like the whole situation with defund the police and everything. We need the police out here to help us out and
if you're
stay alive on these streets.
Right. If you expect these guys to go after bad guys and put themselves in harm's way, you're going to have to pay them, and you can't be threatening to fucking put them in jail and take their shit away. And you know what I mean? Now, cops are going to stand there and be like, I don't want to lose my job. I don't want to get sued. I don't want to get fucked up. So, like, they're going to sit there with their hands in their pockets and only do what they have to do. That's not the cop you want on the street. Yeah. That's not the fireman you want on your roof. You know what I'm saying?
You want the people that are going to go the extra mile.
Yeah.
You don't want the people to do the bare minimum.
And if it sucks, if it's a shitty environment to work in and you're not making money, you know what I mean? And it's dangerous and all that other stuff, you're not going to get a brainiac decathlete. You know what I'm saying? You're going to get somebody who's like, I'll do it. I need $50 or whatever. I need to put rims on my Honda or whatever, like that's who you're going to get. And that person might do the job. They might be successful. I don't know. But I want somebody who's like going to treat my family like their family. I want somebody I can trust. You know what I mean? Yeah. I want somebody who has passion. You know what I mean? I want somebody I can be neighbors with, have a drink with. Well,
you hear to hear, folks. Yeah. Vote to fund these individuals that are out here actually making a difference in our community.
All right, call us if you need us. We'll be there. It doesn't matter. We'll still show up.
Real quick before we wrap up, do you have any shout outs you like to do? Do you guys have any social media? Do you have any events? Or even if where can people go to apply? Maybe they're interested.
If you have teenagers in high school that are interested in the fire service, have them look at the city's webpage for the Explorers. If they're interested in the fire service, that's a good way to get connected. The Burn Foundation, 100% of everything that goes to that goes to the victims of the families and burn, the burn patients. There's nobody takes any money. No one is compensated, nothing. All of it is every single cent of that program. That's actually the program I believe and am most proud of that I'm involved in. Nice. So the Burn Foundation, every single cent. Bomberos is good. You know what I mean? They do a lot for a lot of underserved people in the community. So that's a good holiday toy drive and stuff.
I didn't thought you realized that.
No!
I thought you were going off that audio.
I mean, we're going to have to.
That's why after 5 minutes I was like this.
Yeah. No, we're going to have to use that. That's fine.
Well, yeah, no, I'm proud to be part of this department. I love my job. I love the city. I love the people who, I love. This job has given me everything good in my life. All my best friends. I met my wife. You know what I mean?
Well, for now, I definitely want to make sure we have enough time with batteries. I want to give you a proper send-off.
Okay.
Ryan, dude, thank you
of course.
So freaking much, man.
I was super excited. This is a lot of fun. I really enjoyed myself.
Hell yeah, man.
It's been nice meeting you guys and talking with you for sure.
Same, man. Like, that was an incredible conversation. Like, you opened my eyes to a lot, man. That was a lot. And thank you so much.
You guys still want to take a walk and all that?
Oh, hell yeah, man. Yeah. We'll use our phones. Okay. Yeah. But that was incredible, man. And again, from the bottom of my heart, I just want to thank you.
Well, yeah, and I just remember this is a public service, you know what I mean? So, this is, this is here for everyone, you know what I mean? Even though it is a family environment, these guys live here and stuff, but, at the end of the day, what you did, you come and knock and be like, hey, that's what, it's for the people, by the people, you know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
And I believe that, you know what I mean? Some places you got to kind of button up because it's pretty rough and stuff will walk away. But I like the communal fire station, and And a good example of that, if you want to see a fire station that has tons of pride and is super held up in the community, is 16 on Kings Road.
Well, for you guys, come out and support Station 10, Station 21. Thank you guys for letting us use your facility for today. Again, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for listening. This has been the Dab Podcast. Any message you got to say?
We'll see you again soon.
Yeah, it was nice meeting you guys. Thank you so much. Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot more.
Thank you guys. Peace.
Later.
Everybody, this is Station 21. Here is Ryan. We just finished recording our episode for the Dab Podcast. After you, sir. He's giving us a nice little tour.
We'll come through here.
Okay.
Probably all hanging out here, so we don't want to disturb us, so we'll just make a right. But
Okay.
this is the crew office. Like the medic and the firefighter do this big work here. Hey guys, just gonna show them the equipment and then we're out of here. So these are the regular guys that work there. Those are called black and whites.
Nice.
You have a spot here, you get a black and white.
Got it.
Thing. So this is what we call the apparatus bay. This is the water tender. So like they can bring this. So it's like it's like an asset. It'll multiply like the resources that we have on scene because it's like 3,000 gallons of water.
Mm-hmm.
This is their frontline engine, ALS equipped, right? So all risk, right? So they can do basic hazmat. They can do a rope rescue. They can do a structure fire. They can do a wildfire. They can kind of help grandma if she fell down, or take care of your baby if they have a heart attack.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how we're set up here. But obviously, because we're San Jose, we're Sharks fans and Warriors fans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Niners fans, hopefully.
This station is self-sufficient. It's got a generator, fuel, stuff like that. So,
Nice. So if ever anything ever happens,
4 people, trucks and minivans, it's pretty common. But it is built out so have stuff. So like the living area is just up there, the dorms are over there. So like that's like where the fire is.
a fire
That's
pole.
where they,
The legendary fire
Yeah.
pole.
Up there is where that's a hallway there, and they would all get out of their rooms and come down. A lot of guys don't use it very much anymore because some people, if you do it wrong, you really need that.
Yeah.
So all of their gear is stored in there. Let me show you. This is kind of like, it used to be we would just keep stuff out here, but like the diesel exhaust is getting on it, so now everything's just stuff in here and it's all ventilated.
Oh,
So that's where all the jackets and boots are.
Yeah.
So you got to clean them, but it's to keep it separate, right? You got your hose and all that stuff. Other equipment. A lot of this is like our phone and like pieces of stuff. The medicine's back there for the ALS stuff. A lot of times we'll have separate washing stuff and stuff gets contaminated, so like they have two or three different washers, right? And then a gym. So the gym's always, they have motion lights. I don't ever work here, but yeah. Okay, so this gym.
Oh yeah.
So
Full nice little gym.
everybody gets an hour and a half on duty to work out every day. It's like we have to. We're supposed to.
Yeah.
You don't always get a chance to do it. When I came here, they were all in here.
Nice.
Pretty good about fitness. Not everybody is the same. And, you have different ages and stuff like that. But that's, this is a pickleball net. So,
I need a
so this is
you got some type of entertainment.
Fastest growing sport, right?
This is the pickleball court they put in here. Yeah, so that they can play in the
Oh yeah.
yeah. So this is their that game place. Ours is destroyed in the elements outside.
Whose couches are those?
They brought them in.
Are they for
Yeah.
like specific ranks? Like, oh, these people.
No, they probably hang out.
Community
here,
couch.
have a cigar and hang out. Sometimes guys will come out here to get some privacy, call their families.
Yeah.
But
Well, thank you again, man. Really appreciate
of
it.
course, yeah, you always call us if you need us. You're welcome. Come hang out with us. know.
Hell yeah.
I like to.
You might get a few people showing up now. Like, hey, I saw you on the podcast.
I love my department. Happy to share.
What's the status of that?
So, he retired.
Okay, I thought somebody who passed.
He was no. He was a very well-liked captain. So that's like a tradition here. Is that you donate stuff and it goes up. Like this is a new station, so there's only one.
Oh yeah.
There's stations where there's like 20 coats on the wall. Sometimes they throw their helmet up there or an axe, something like that. You know,
can we take home an axe?
Yeah.
I'm just...
Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, broken.
All right. Well, thank you so much again, Ryan. Really appreciate it, man.
Great, man.
Thank you.
Heck
so
yeah.
much. Yeah, it was great to meet you guys. I enjoyed talking to you a lot.
Yeah.
Same, man. All right, everybody. Thank you again, and peace.